Hello everyone, it's Blue Steel 42, and today I thought about doing a little special review, especially because today is actually my birthday, and I wanted to share something special that I did during my birthday holiday, and that would be painting my engines. Allow me to elaborate. So there's something that every Thomas fan would know, and even for those who are just getting into the series. There's an important detail about Thomas's paintwork, and that can also be said for the other engines as well. What I mean is, Thomas, for example, around his buffer beams, they're painted red, but right around his running boards, it's painted white. And some companies, with certain brands, accidentally forgot this detail. Take this Trackmaster Thomas, for example. Around his buffer beams, they're red, but his sides are red, which is not supposed to happen. Thomas's running boards are supposed to be white, like this other Trackmaster Thomas that I have here. So all I did during my birthday treat was simply give Thomas the paint work that he truly deserves. Now really quick, before I show you up close, there's two things I just want to go over, and these are the last two things. And those are with these two Thomas models. So this is a take-along Thomas model, and this is a take-and-play Thomas model who is battery operated. Now really quick, I just want you to know, there are reasons for each of these engines why I did not paint them. For this Thomas, it was only because for the previous models that you see out here, I accidentally messed up with the paintwork sometimes, so if you notice some white on their tankers, for example, their side tanks, then just know that was an accident, and I didn't want to risk it with this Thomas model because, again, this is a take-and-play Thomas, this is a take-along Thomas, and I actually do not have another take-along Thomas model. I actually just got him last year, and I don't want to damage him because it turns out he was a gift to me from a garage sale that happened last year, and the one who previously owned this Thomas took great care of him, and I really don't want to risk covering him up in any paint on the sides here, such as his tank, and I don't want to risk that. He's in great condition, and I hate for that to happen to him, so that's why. As for the take-along battery-operated Thomas, the only reason why is just because the same deal, I accidentally got paint on his sides as well. Not this Thomas, the one down there, which we'll get to in just a second. And I was really worried because if I were to make the same mistake again, I would have to wash it off with water. But this one's battery operated, and I wouldn't want his batteries to rust. Because let me tell you, I have the exact same Thomas model, and sadly, I left him out in the rain a few times, and one time it was so bad to the point where his batteries wouldn't work anymore. But not this one. It was another one. So that's why. But without further ado, let's really get into this. So let's start off with none other than the number one himself. Here he is. Get a look at that paintwork. Now, yes, he's a very old toy, and this is what I mean. That's why I didn't want to risk it with these two models here. I didn't want to risk getting any white paint on his side tanks. I didn't want that. And really quick, in case you're wondering, yes, this is repainted red, and the only reason why is just because I too made the same mistake where I accidentally painted his buffer beam white, when really it's just his side plates right here. I also repainted his buffers black because same exact deal. It was just covered up in paint. But besides that, this Thomas looks pretty good. I wouldn't say he's great just because a few minor mistakes, as you can see right there. But besides that, I'm pretty proud of myself for this. And really quick, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think I did a good job with my engines, or do you think that they need some improvement? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see if I can give them another paint job. But besides that, I really like it. And I'm really proud of myself for getting the job done. Now, really quick, before we get to the next ones, here is a Thomas model who sort of stands out from the others. This is a Ertil model of Thomas. An Ertil model. Ertil is the name of the other brand of Thomas. In fact, they actually started out with Ertil from before they did take-along and then take and play. Now, really quick, just for those who are wondering, Ertil is just the name of the first brand of Thomas before these models. Ertil came out first, and Thomas looked like this, where he's not entirely that horrible, but if there's one thing I don't like about his model in general, is just how really stretched out Thomas is. If I could just borrow this Thomas for a second. You see, here's what I don't like, and that I'll explain about in just a second. What I don't like is how the Ertil Thomas is way too extended. Like, look at that. He doesn't look that much. He doesn't contain that much of a resemblance from the Thomas from the actual show. I think they were trying to base him off from the actual Railway series by the Rev W. Audrey, because I would say that's what this Thomas would look like, unlike this Thomas. This Thomas looks more like the one from the show, whereas this one sort of resembles a little more to the Railway series. But besides that, he's still a pretty cool Thomas. And I was actually really consistent on working with him because secretly, he was a Thomas who I personally wanted to improve. I do like his model. I don't entirely like how it's stretched out, but at the same time, I do like him. And yes, I repainted his sides, thought they needed a bit of a freshen up, because here's the thing, to tell you the truth, this Thomas was actually pink for both his sides and the buffer beam. So I repainted him in red and white. And I will put a number 1 on him soon, because this side, his paint is almost completely gone. But besides that, that's Ertil Thomas. Now, really quick, if I may just say, Stanley, who is from The Great Discovery, he did not have white for his sides. He actually had gray. I'll quickly pull up a picture just to prove it to you. Here on his sides, they're actually gray, not white. But besides that, I'd say Stanley was also in great condition and surprisingly really smooth. I like how he turned out, despite him having a bit of blue paint right there. Still, here he is. I didn't exactly give him a whole touch of red because he was still in really good condition with his red right on his buffers and his sides. But besides that, I would say Stanley's in pretty good shape. And I definitely, and for some reason, I don't fully understand how or why, unlike Thomas down there, but when I was painting Stanley, it turned out really smooth. Thomas was a little rough, but Stanley, really smooth. I don't know why, but that just happened. At least it looks good. Up next is none other than Percy himself. Percy, I'd say he's not in the best condition, but he's not that bad either. I definitely had to repaint right here because it was turning very gray, like he was losing paint. You can see the gray on the inside. And in case you're wondering, yes, I repainted his stripes only because, truth be told, his stripes too were turning gray. It was losing paint, just like his dome right there, which I'll probably fix one day. But here he is, same exact deal as Thomas and probably Stanley as well. Repainted him white because, again, Percy himself has white on his sides as well. And I would say Percy actually came out pretty well as well. I said that twice. Funny. And I, too, also gave him a touch on his buffers. Now, really quick, one last thing. I didn't actually give Stanley a touch on his buffers as well. Like, I did not give Stanley a touch of paint on his buffers. It was more Percy and Thomas. The only reason why was actually because not only did Stanley have his buffers in really good condition, but it's also more of the fact that I actually did not have any silver paint. So, despite Stanley not having a touch on his buffers, he at least got a good paint job, and Percy as well. Really good condition. And finally, last but not least, Murdoch. Now, Murdoch is an engine who I hold pretty close in my collection, and who too contains a splash of white on his running boards and also right underneath his face. At first I thought it was kind of weird when I painted Murdoch, but it wasn't that bad. For some reason, he too was quite smooth when I painted him. And I really like how it turned out. It feels weird, don't get me wrong, but I like how smooth it came out to be. I only had to put like 2 layers of paint, unlike Thomas and probably even Percy over there. Murdoch and Stanley, I only had to put about 2 coats of paint for their sides. And I really like it. And really quick, there's one last thing to mention. And it's just for Murdoch. Yes, you can probably tell there's still some green paint on there. And really quick, before this video does come to an end, because we just finished reviewing each of the engines, and no, I did not get his tender, a splash of white either. I have actually a little confession to make. During the time when Murdoch was painted green, he was actually an inspiration to a Thomas and Timothy episode I made. This one was in the episode Thomas's Runaway Car, which is the one where Thomas loses his freight car as it breaks away due to a rusty coupling, goes down Gordon's Hill, and slides all the way, crashing into Murdoch. And the green paint flies out and it lands all over him. Truth be told, that was actually an inspiration by my little cousin, because he saw me doing this one day, like many years ago, and he got the wrong idea where he just went to town and painted Murdoch green. He didn't exactly see why I was painting the engine, so I just let him have fun. But then I realized this would actually make a pretty good episode. So it's thanks to my little cousin that that episode actually exists, and I give him full credit for that. And with that being said, those are my take-along, take and play, and Ertil Thomas tank engines, plus Murdoch, the big engine. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching, and happy birthday again to me, and I hope to see you all pretty soon. I also hope you all enjoyed this little review, and let me know if you actually want to see more reviews like these, along with the Thomas and Timothy episodes. And I promise, there's going to be a lot more episodes coming, especially a Halloween special for this year. Let me know if you want to see that, and with that being said, I'm Blue Steel 42, and I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys!